Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Let's jump into our cosmic weather. Get things started. All right, over at spaceweather.com, we could see that our current solar wind is blowing at 441.6 kilometers per second. Our planetary K-index is back down to a 0. It was up to a 5 and then a 4 the other day. So we got pretty intense for a little while, but we're back down to very quiet time, and it's not expected to get any higher than 2, which is still in the quiet range within the next 24 hours. M-class flares, X-class flares, you could see only about a 1% chance. And then, of course, we've got the mid-latitudes and high-latitude geomagnetic storm possibilities are very low, 5% in mid-latitudes. If you get into the higher latitudes, a little bit more, 15%. And one last little note here, if you're looking up at the sky, Mars is going to be added to the mix. We've got Venus and Jupiter. Those are the two bright lights that are up there. And they've been moving closer together. They started at 20 degrees apart right around the week of the 20th of February, and they're moving closer together all the way until about the 13th or 14th of March, when they're going to be only 3 degrees apart. And with the with the moon out there showing up at the same time, it's quite a sight. Now Mars is going to jump in. Mars at opposition. It says Mars is approaching opposition on March 3rd to the 5th. The red planet will be up all night long, opposite the sun, and as close to the Earth as it will get in 2012. Mars shines overhead at midnight, 6 times brighter than the first magnitude star, and looks great through backyard telescope. So add Mars to the mix, and it's some great viewing. So have your telescopes or cameras ready, because some great sights going on in the sky these days. Now, planetary-wise, we are in Pisces, and we're going to be in Pisces for a couple more weeks. So Pisces is the water sign. Water is emotions, dealing with emotional issues. Remember how water moves. Water can be still and calm. Water can be rough and crazy. It just depends on how it is. Being that the water represents our emotions and our feelings, then we can kind of see how it's better to have calm water and calm feelings than rough, agitated feelings. So we learn how to work with those. But that's what we're working with, water. And then when we get to the moon sign, which is the unconscious, we're in Gemini today. Gemini is an air sign. So we've got the air sign in the unconscious mind, and the unconscious is affecting the conscious mind, the water. Well, we know how air and water interact together. Air can blow across the water and have a nice breeze, maybe some nice gentle waves, or air can get really crazy and intense, and the water can become a big storm. It just depends. So it's all about elements, how we're mixing these elements together between the conscious and the unconscious, and then we have all the other elements going on there for all the other planets that are affecting things, and it's quite a mix. So paying attention to the energies where they are on a daily basis is a good thing. Now our current moon phase is, we're at our first quarter moon, which means we're halfway between when the moon was a new moon and when it's going to be a full moon. So we're in the waxing phase, 46% full. On the Dreamspell calendar, we've made it to the second position of the 13-day wave spell. The kin for today, right in the middle, is the monkey. The guide for today is the Night, Blue Night, N-I-G-H-T. And then around it we have the supporting kin here, which is the dragon, the dog, and the star. The phrase for today is I polarize in order to play, stabilizing illusion. I seal the process of magic with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of abundance. And on the Gregorian calendar, it is Wednesday, February 29th, 2012. Alright, let me double check something here. Something seems a bit off. Alright, I'm going to go over here for a minute. Okay, according to the widget here, something's off, and I thought it was off. Today we're actually at a 3-tone day. Electric, human. So yesterday we were at the 2. Today we're at the 3. Therefore, the human is the Daykin. The guide for today is the warrior. Sorry about the mix-up. The phrase for today is, I activate in order influence bonding wisdom. I seal the process of free will with the electric tone of service. I am guided by the power of intelligence. Alright, that catches you up to speed with our cosmic weather for today. Alright, the last couple days I have started off with 9/11 in plain sight. I played part 1, part 2 yesterday. Today I'm going to play part 3 for you. Just because there's so much information, and I think it's just good to keep refreshing everyone on what's going on with the whole deal, because it's not what we were told. It's a big lie. It was an inside job. And then after this, we're going to go to the UFO news, and then when we get to the second part of the show, the half-hour mark, we're going to have a guest, and it's Stephen Bassett, leading advocate for UFO disclosure. So he's going to be with us here in just a bit. So let me quit rambling and get over to our business at hand. And the first thing is In Plain Sight, Part 3. Here we go.
Leave. When we look at this photograph, we can see that the fire retardant foam is being sprayed on the front of the Pentagon. And again, the area in question had not yet collapsed. And you can see right in the center of the photograph a big area where some of the concrete facing has broken away, and it appears that this is the only major hole in the front of the Pentagon. Again, is this hole big enough to accommodate a 757? And where is the wreckage? In this photograph, we again see engine 331 and fire retardant foam being sprayed on the front of the Pentagon. Note clearly, in the center of the photograph, we see the upper floors of the Pentagon, again, yet to collapse. But also notice that there does not appear to be any damage to these upper floors. Question: if the height of the Boeing 757 was 44 feet 6 inches, there should have been some point of impact in these upper floors, and yet when we look at these pictures, there doesn't appear to be any impact whatsoever in the area where the tail should have hit. And again, there is no wreckage visible on the front of the lawn. Now, while these photographs were being taken, videographers from several different networks were on the scene to capture the firefighters in action as they battled the blazes at the front of the Pentagon.
Jim Angle is joining us now from Washington. Jim, what can you tell us about that fire outside the Pentagon? Jim Angle, are you with us?
I can tell you first that the roads around the White House, the streets around the White House, were blocked seconds ago. Members of the Uniform Division of the Secret Service ran out to intersections and started diverting traffic. There are emergency vehicles on almost every block around the White House. The road south of the White House has also been blocked. And as you know, the White House is being evacuated. Federal employees are standing on the street corners in and around the White House, having left the building for fear of another attack. As you come into Washington from Virginia, about 2 miles from the Pentagon, you can see the smoke billowing up from the building. Huge clouds of smoke, so much so that commuters coming into town have pulled over to the side of a busy freeway, what is ordinarily a busy freeway, and are sitting, watching in amazement as the symbol of the United States Defense Establishment goes up in smoke. So there is an amazement all over Washington. People are not sure what to think. You've got a lot of federal employees standing around in this area watching as the streets are blocked off and emergency vehicles rush to and fro. We're not sure what they are up to, but clearly there is concern about the safety of...
What could have caused this type of damage? What could have caused a 14 to 16 foot hole and pierced 3 of the rings of the Pentagon? Keep in mind that each ring of the Pentagon has an outer and inner wall, each wall approximately 18 inches thick of steel reinforced concrete. That means that each ring consisted of 36 inches or 3 feet of steel reinforced concrete for a total of approximately 9 feet of steel reinforced concrete. Question: could a 757 have pierced 9 feet of steel reinforced concrete and left a 14 to 16-foot hole and no wreckage? If not, what could have created that type of damage? On our radio program, The Power Hour, we have a lot of veterans and military experts that listen in, and many have called up and agreed that it could not have been a 757 that created that damage, but in fact had to be something else altogether. What could have caused that damage? Some call it a bunker buster or a missile. Now, as this controversy percolated through the year 2002, in January of 2003, the entire issue was resurrected when the American Society of Civil Engineers released a report entitled The Pentagon Building Performance Report. The announcement was made on CNN, and they showed an animated video that illustrated how the 757 slammed into the Pentagon and took out 50 support columns. When we again look at these photographs, I ask, do you see support columns that have been destroyed? Which support columns were destroyed? How could it possibly be that the American Society of Civil Engineers could release such a report when the photographs clearly show that the entire report is in question?
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
You know, there are those that see these pictures and hear this information for the first time, and they inevitably ask the question, well, if the plane didn't hit the Pentagon, where did it go? The answer is, I don't know where it went. For all I know, it could be sitting in 200 feet of water in the Atlantic Ocean. But then again, I didn't say that Flight 77 hit the Pentagon. That was NBC and CBS and ABC and CNN and Fox and all the other news agencies. The question should be, if Flight 77 hit the Pentagon, then where is it? And let's keep in mind that if we do find someone, a group, or an agency that is involved in the obfuscation, distraction, distortion, or cover-up of any information about any of the events of September 11th, does that not indicate possible involvement and even guilt in the events of September 11th? Now let's move on to what happened in New York City on the morning of September 11th. These are just a few of the images that are indelibly etched in the minds of every man and woman on the face of this planet that happened to be near a television set on the morning of September 11th of 2001. Most of us will never forget where we were and what we were doing on that day. Now, right after September 11th, many conspiracy theories began to arise to try to explain how and why the towers came down. Well, this is no different than any other major event in history, from the assassination of John F. Kennedy to his brother Robert Kennedy, and from the assassinations of Martin Luther King and John Lennon to the explosion in Oklahoma City that destroyed the Murrah Building in 1995 and the downing of TWA Flight 800. All of these were followed by conspiracy theories to try to explain these events. Well, on September 11th, there was a lot of discussion about explosions that went on around the building and in the building. Some of these reports were televised, but only once. Let's take a look at some of these reports and review what had happened on September 11th.
Center in that videotape.
Mark Bernbach, a Fox employee, is on the phone with us. Mark witnessed this from what we understand. Mark, were you close enough to be able to see any markings on the airplane?
hi, gentlemen. How you doing? Yeah, there was definitely a blue logo. It was like a circular logo on the front of the plane, towards the definitely towards the front. It definitely did not look like a commercial plane. I didn't see any windows on the sides.
Mark, if what you say is true, those could be cargo planes or something like that. You said you didn't see any windows in the side?
I didn't see any windows on the sides. I saw the plane flying low. I was probably like a block away from the subway in Brooklyn, and that plane came down very low. And again, it was not a normal flight that I've ever seen at an airport. It was a plane that had a blue logo on the front, and it did not look like it belonged in this area, to be frankly about it. I mean, that's not an accident.
That was not American Airlines. The entire top of the building just blew up.
The second explosion and another explosion. We have a report now of a fourth explosion at the Trade Center. There has just been a huge explosion. It almost looks like one of those implosions of buildings that you see.
We heard a very loud blast, an explosion. Not clear now is why this explosion took place.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Derek, thank you very much. This is the UFO News for today. I've got 5 stories. 5 stories. Story number 1 comes to us from latest-UFOsightings.net. Fast, a UFO flying over Hurst, Texas, 26th of February, 2012. All right, let's take a look at what was flying over Texas.
Here goes one. Oh my gosh. That sucker is hauling.
It's a pretty fast UFO right there. You see it?
That is not a satellite.
Do you think that is? That military craft? That's pretty darn fast.
Wow.
Pretty darn fast. Alright, the link's up so you can check it out yourself. Next story, this is another one. This is UFO moving lights in a triangular formation in Venezuela. Says that Sunday night I left outside my house at 8:30 p.m. I live in a mountainous area overlooking the sea. At the time, eyes in front, I could see lights in a triangular form. Alright, so let's go just take a look here.
Estas son las luces.
Okay, we get single lights right here.
¿Viste? Tienen muchísimo tiempo.
Same thing, just a singular light up there. Alright, that's about the extent of what we're seeing. I'm not seeing anything more. Alright, there it is, still there. So, alright, the link's available for you to check that one out. Next one here. Unidentified red lights, Pennsylvania. Report mirrors West Virginia case. This comes to us from the Examiner and Roger Marsh. Drawing conclusions before a case investigation begins is risky business, but it's always interesting to compare incoming sightings from the MUFON UFO Network Witness Reporting Database, in this instance reviewing reports from West Virginia and border state Pennsylvania, where late February cases seem to have similarities. We report that West Virginia, normally a low reporting state with just 3 in January 2012, had its 5th case this month. The latest report involves a witness describing red lights in the sky moving quickly across the sky as reported in the second West Virginia case. Saw something move. I looked over towards Orion's belt. The witness stated, I saw 2 moving. I thought stars, but they were reddish in color. There were 2 of them going in a very fast pattern. It would change directional paths. It seems it was also moving fast out of the atmosphere. 30 seconds later, a second light appeared, moving in almost the same erratic pattern. The witness was able to say what the object was not. It did not look like a meteor shower or a satellite or a rocket ship, as it was moving way too fast, with odd and up and down paths from side to side, then completed almost a U-turn movement. I lost sight of the object because it was too far out of the atmosphere. No town was mentioned in the public report, and unfortunately no images or videos. That was our case in West Virginia. Now, this is an interesting story and something definitely consider from the UFO Digest. UFO Occupants, from time, not space. Now, this is something definitely consider because we're always thinking in terms of time or space. That they're coming, the aliens, the ships are coming from somewhere in deep space. But with the ability to travel through time, that changes the nature of where they might be coming from. And when we look at the Mayan calendar, what was actually talked about wasn't the end of the world, but was the end of time. So inherent in that statement, the end of time, indicates that time is something more than what we recognize it to be. Time is something other than what on Earth time is. So that being the case, now we can open up and look at things from a different perspective, that beings might travel through time, through wormholes, through things of this nature, to travel through time. This is from Diana Tessman. There are strong arguments for UFO occupants being aliens of time, not space. The only real argument against this is there is no such thing as time travel. Of course, it is also argued that the distances are too great in space to permit travel from there to here. So that too is said by some to be impossible. However, these unidentified flying objects with unidentified pilots inside have to come from somewhere or somewhen. If they are time aliens instead of space aliens, a number of other questions are answered. The fascinating reality seems to be that as of 2012, when we discover more secrets of space-time in the quantum universe, each new discovery makes time travel less likely as space travel. After all, it is space-time, not just space. Time has always been mixed up with the cosmic puzzle. The current theories include the concept of our superhighway, which exists thanks to a rupture in space-time that happened as the Big Bang expanded. Due to this string, which exists outside of the fabric, starships or time ships might be able to travel from one point to another extremely fast. The point might be a point of space or a point in time. Alright, so read the rest of this article. There's a lot more to it and something to consider. Just remember, the end of time. So time has something. We're going to experience a different sort of time, a different nature of what time is about. It's not just about your wristwatch and the way that time is structured there. It becomes something much more fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional even, once you get past the concept of the 3D Earth. And the very last story here, all this is educating humanity. And this says, betting on alien life. Is there alien life out there? What are the odds that a U.S. president will announce the discovery of alien life from the Oval Office? At Paddy Power, you can place bets on the existence of extraterrestrials. Scientists all over the world are hunting exoplanets, planets that revolve around the stars. As of February 2012, over 760 exoplanets have been discovered. 4 of those 760, which is 0.52%, are in the habitable zone, where it's not too hot and not too cold, and water flows as liquid. Here on Earth, wherever there is water, there is life. And then there is the Drake equation, a hypothetical formula that estimates that the number of civilizations in the galaxy. The Drake equation takes into account the number of stars, the odds of life forming, and how long a civilization lasts. Estimates range from 0 to 182 million. So what are the odds for a sitting president of the United States making a statement confirming without doubt the existence of alternative life beings from another planet? Well, here are the odds from Paddy Power. This is in Vegas. So I'll go ahead and place your bet. It's 2 to 1 that the announcement isn't going to be till 2020 or later. 2012, we got a 16 to 1. Then it goes up higher, 33 to 1 in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17th, it goes up to 25 to 1, but then it drops back down again in the 18 and 19 to 22 to 1 and 2 to 1 in 2020. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of hope. People are betting on that this year is going to be the year. It's kind of the long shot. But we shall see what happens. Alright, very good. That is our UFO news for today. Let's jump away for a song. Wake up. When I get back, we're going to go into our interview with Stephen Bassett. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brothers watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I and the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, I'm back. All right, next up is an interview with Stephen Bassett. Now, Stephen Bassett is the leading advocate for ending the 64-year government-imposed truth embargo regarding an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race. He's the executive director of the Paradigm Research Group and the Political Action Committee XPPAC, and the executive producer of the X Conference. His work has been extensively covered by national and international media, and over the past 3 years he has spoken to audiences all over the world about the implications of formal disclosure. Now, yesterday, he and I had a really good interview. We were going to talk for half an hour, but he had so much information that we just kept going, and this was well over an hour, like an hour and 15 minutes. So what I've decided to do was to break this interview up into two parts. I'm going to play part of it today, and I'm going to play the other part tomorrow. The importance of this interview is that there is a petition that has been put out at whitehouse.gov about UFO disclosure. So I'm going to let Stephen tell you all about it, since he is the best man for that job. So here we go. This is part one. Enjoy. Last time we spoke was in December, I believe, and you were just, there was just the Disclose Petition 2. We were talking about that, and now you're here to tell us a little bit more about what's going on with it. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. This is a fairly important project underway, which most people don't know about. And more importantly, many of those who do know about it don't understand its importance. So let's clarify. Let's frame it for your audience. The White House started a petition process back on September the 22nd on their website. I think it's a good idea. I think it's an appropriate and noble attempt on their part to engage the people. It's called We the People. You go to whitehouse.gov, and it's quite easy to find. Since September the 22nd, about 20,000 petitions have been submitted to this section, somewhere between 10 and 20. It's hard to get a number on that. Of issues of all types. And of those many thousands, approximately 450 have actually been posted to the White House website. You need 150 signatures for that to happen. And of the 450 that have been posted, approximately 65 or so got the necessary signatures to generate a White House response. And the early part of this project on the White House website, it was 5,000 signatures, and then it was raised to 25,000 signatures. You get that many signatures in 30 days, and you will get a formal response from the White House. So that's the project. That's what was set up, and a lot of people are participating, and all good. Now, the moment that PRG, my Paradigm Research Group, my organization, learned about this, we saw a very good opportunity to advance the disclosure process regarding the ET presence. And so, put together a plan, and one of the first petitions that were submitted was, in fact, Disclosure Petition 1. Now, Disclosure Petition 1 was formulated to put the issue, frame it, put it in perspective, go right to the heart of it. And it reads as follows. We, the undersigned, strongly urge the President of the United States to formally acknowledge an extraterrestrial presence, engaging the human race, and immediately release into the public domain all files from all agencies and military services relevant to this phenomenon. Extraterrestrial means non-human intelligence, almost certainly from another planetary system, of which we're finding more every day. But it could be elsewhere, perhaps from another dimension, from another time, whatever. In any case, it's still a major issue regardless. An extraterrestrial will serve the purpose.
Right.
So what was the point of that? Did we expect that if the petition got 5,000 signatures that the President was then going to, oh, well, I guess I'll disclose? No, not at all. What happened, of course, was that the petition received 5,000 signatures in 4 days, ultimately 12,000 signatures, which triggered a response from the White House, which came on November the 4th. In addition, this petition, Disclosure Petition 1, achieved more media coverage worldwide than all of the other posted petitions at that time, a couple hundred combined. Hundreds of articles worldwide.
That's pretty impressive.
And so the response came on December 4th, and this response is notable for 3 reasons. Now, this is where your listeners need to pay close attention.
Okay.
First and foremost, this is the first time ever that the executive branch of the U.S. government has ever put a formal petition on this issue, which has been 6.5 decades now, worldwide, massive amount of evidence, books, articles have been written, witnesses come forward, and on and on and on. It's the first time the White House ever put it in writing.
Okay.
Now, that was intentional on their part, and it was the wise thing to do. You don't want to put your position down in writing on an issue you can't address. So, the position that the White House put out on November the 4th came from their Office of Science and Technology Policy. It's logical.
Okay.
Which is the science office for the President. It's run, directed by Dr. John Holden, physicist. Written by one of their staffers. I'm not suggesting at all that they did a lot of research or suddenly looked into this issue extensively. No. They were just told, what's our position? What's our position going to be on it? They put it out. Now, it's only about 9 paragraphs. It's very short. And it's a very hard line, which I'm not surprised at. And let me just read a little bit of it.
Okay.
And note the language. Note how they're embracing the language of the petition and of this issue as it's now being engaged. Okay. And that's good. Thank you for signing the petition asking the Obama administration to acknowledge an extraterrestrial presence here on Earth. Really, the petition was engaging with the human race. That's fine. The U.S. government has no evidence that any life exists outside our planet. All right, notice it says the U.S. government has no evidence. It doesn't say there isn't any, but it has no evidence that any life exists outside our planet, or that an extraterrestrial presence has contacted or engaged any member of the human race. In addition, there is no credible information to suggest that any evidence is being hidden from the public's eye. It goes on to say, well, but we do care, and that's why there's a SETI program, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and the Kepler telescope, and so forth. They then repeat that there's no evidence in the later paragraph, and that's it. And this response remains on the White House website now, along with the petition that generated it, and those who signed that petition, all 12,000. And anyone can go to whitehouse.gov, we the people, check the responses, and they can find it. Now, oh, by the way, any of your audiences listen to this that's on the web, and most of them probably are, then if they just bring up the home base for this project, this petition project by PRG, they can follow along. And that website is an easy one. It's disclosurepetition.info. Disclosure petition. Okay. Info. All right. Now, so as I said before, the first notable thing about this is that this is the first time we've gotten, in writing, a formal response from the executive branch. The second notable thing about this response, or the key elements of this response, meaning the paragraph that I just read, is that it's false. Completely false. Those three statements. No evidence that anything is being hidden and so forth. And then thirdly, it's not defensible. You can be false, but defensible. It's not defensible. Which is to say that if any member of the White House, whether they be science, political advisors, or anybody else, that were to go in front of a camera and attempt to defend that statement with any of the major researchers in this field or activists, it would be hopeless. I mean, they couldn't do it. And you can be sure they won't attempt that.
Right.
All right. So the Disclosure Petition 1 accomplished its fundamental goal, was to get this response.
Okay.
Fine. Now, where do we go from there? So where do we go from there? Simple. What we have now is a stationary target. A formal response in writing from the White House regarding the ET phenomena, of which a huge amount is known, and evidence has been accumulating for 65 years. They can't run from it, they can't hide, and they can't say they didn't say it. So we go after it. We go after that position, break that position, break the truth embargo. Okay. Truth embargo being the formal policy that the government instigated with the assistance of its allies, with the help and cooperation of its allies, back in the late 1940s, early 1950s, that this issue had to be contained and with acknowledgement had to be withheld for national security reasons. All right. So what PRG decided to do next is, in going after that position, was to use the petition process itself and thus submit Disclosure Petition 2. Now, I'll just briefly mention that petition was submitted initially December 1st, but the White House website, which was evolving, We the People project on the White House website was evolving. They were dealing with millions of signatures, and they didn't have it all working like it ought to be. And as a result, the site just wasn't working very well in December. It was breaking down. People couldn't sign. All kinds of complaints. So
right, I remember that.
Yeah. So it was a false start, and it's unfortunate, but in a way, it was a blessing. Okay. So just forget that. It was like it was like a golf shot. This went off into the woods, so we took a mulligan. And this petition, the Disclosure Petition 2, has been resubmitted to the White House as of February the 23rd. Now, this petition is much more complicated than the first one, and it is attempting to do three things. One, show that the White House's position statement is wrong. Two, draw the political media into the issue at the highest level, really for the first time, and place the issue further, again, for another month or more, on the White House website. Now, people say, well, wait a minute, why is that important? It's real simple. All of this could be happening at, say, PRG's site. We have a petition thing there and putting the information up, and we'd have X amount of traffic. But that's not where this is taking place. This is taking place on the White House website. This is the website of the most powerful nation in the world. This is a site that's visited by people from all over the world. And, of course, it's also visited by any American citizens, including members of the Congress or staff, members of the military, members of the intelligence community. It's right there. And so it's playing out before the world, which is, and of course, gives it a gravitas, which it needs. So those three things are what is being accomplished by the second petition. Now, let's look into this petition. Why is it so important, and why is it so powerful in context with the first petition, disclosure petition, and the White House response? Let me read it to you. It's not long. In this project, which has protocols, you're only allowed 120 characters now for the title, and then 800 characters of information. So it has to be very compact. So let's go with this. We petition the Obama administration to immediately investigate UFOetry disclosure efforts during the Clinton administration, the Rockefeller Initiative. Disclosure Petition 2, the Rockefeller Initiative. The Obama administration has formally stated the U.S. government has no evidence that any life exists outside our planet, or that an extraterrestrial presence has contacted or engaged any member of the human race. If true, what was the Clinton's, obviously referring to President Clinton's, Office of Science and Technology Policy, investigating from March 1993 to October 1996 in concert with billionaire Clinton friend Lawrence Rockefeller? And now the key paragraph. This is the paragraph, this is the words that might launch the media and end this truth embargo finally after 6.5 decades. Those who knew and have not spoken publicly of this initiative include President Bill Clinton, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Obama Transition Chairman John Podesta, Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta, Vice President Al Gore, and Governor Bill Richardson. And then finally, confirming documents, and there are 2 web links to websites that have the documents that confirm the Rockefeller Initiative and everything this petition is asserting, that anyone in the world could then cut and paste and go and see for themselves.
Excellent. What are those websites?
There are 2 websites involved here. And to explain those, I need to give a little more background.
Okay.
What is the Rockefeller Initiative? Why is it so important? Lawrence Rockefeller is one of the sons of John D. He's dead now. He's been dead about 6-7 years. And but he wasn't like his other brothers. He took a different path. He was less concerned about making huge sums of money, more concerned about the environment, about exploring a range of issues, and being a philanthropist. He'd supported the work of John Mack at Harvard. He supported at Cambridge. He supported the work of Colin Andrews and others, looking into the UFOetry issue. He was clearly aware of it. And he's a billionaire. So when the Cold War ended and was really over by the end of 1991, the door for the first time to resolve the ET issue with disclosure, or at least begin the resolution with formal acknowledgement disclosure, as we call it, really opened for the first time. And it was not long after that on March the 29th of 1993, approximately 40 days after Clinton was inaugurated, Lawrence Rockefeller approached the administration with an intention to meet with the president, send a letter to the president, and initiate a report that would prompt the administration to start releasing all of the UFO files in its possession, all files related to UFOs and the phenomenon, which is extraterrestrial in many cases, and initiate new investigations, get things out and going again to get the public the truth about this, because the government had shut down, quote unquote, in the public sector, investigations into this phenomenon in '69 after they closed Blue Book. Now, if the administration had done this, it would have effectively ended the truth embargo during the first term in the Clinton administration. This initiative, this effort, went on for 3 years. It involved a number of researchers who actually met at the Rockefeller Ranch in Wyoming to plan strategy. There were presentations made, reports were delivered, a study was conducted, a book was generated called UFOs: The Best Evidence, and some of the most powerful people in the world knew about it. Okay, fine. So what's remarkable about that? What's remarkable is that none of the people on the government side that knew about this initiative or were involved in it have ever said a word publicly about it since it started 19 years ago. And more interestingly, they've never been asked a single question by the American press, which is essentially a result of the truth embargo, about this initiative. That an article was written about it, that it was going on, so it was known to some news people, and there was an article back in the early 90s in the New York Daily News. Other than that, they stayed away from it. Kind of like the press stayed away from Jack Kennedy's affairs. It was like, you just don't report Jack Kennedy's personal sexual life, which one can make a case, that's appropriate. In this case, you just don't report or deal with the extraterrestrial phenomena issue at the high political level, though there are many, many articles being written about the phenomena and other things going on around the world by mainstream press, but you just don't engage at the political level because that would challenge the truth embargo, and that's not permitted. It's sort of an understanding now.
Right.
Well, what can I say? That's not the way the news is supposed to operate. News people are supposed to operate. That's not the way the fourth estate is supposed to work. So here we have it, a situation now where this initiative has gone on. It lasts for 3 years. The administration during that time came under broad-based attack from every sector you could imagine. Scandal upon scandal upon scandal, quote unquote, to try to destroy the president and end his presidency in one term. One of the great backstories of the Clinton era that has not been reported is the connection between the attacks on Clinton and this initiative that was taking place in his Office of Science and Technology Policy. Because it was clear early on that the military intelligence complex had absolutely no desire for Bill Clinton to be the disclosure president and engage this issue. He was not acceptable to them on many levels, and one has to wonder if they played any role in the attacks on the administration, which never stopped. And in any event, the initiative by Rockefeller ran its course by fall of 1996. The administration did some things. I mean, it did attempt to react to it in a number of ways. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Rockefeller was getting quite old, and I think his mental faculties were starting to diminish, perhaps early dementia. And it just, I guess he'd done what he could. And he did not pursue it further after late 96 and faded away. But it was known to a number of people because many of the principals in the public sector are, of course, still alive today. A few have passed. And so it was that in 2000, Canadian researcher Grant Cameron, as part of the development of a website which is called presidentialufo.com, where he has compiled, was and is still compiling, the largest compilation of information regarding the intersection between U.S. presidents and UFOET phenomenon. Submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the Office of Science and Technology Policy, which I think was still during the Clinton administration, pretty sure, regarding everything UFOET and Lawrence Rockefeller connected. And for whatever reason, and I'm surprised that this happened, but maybe I wouldn't be surprised if I knew all the specifics. He received back 1,000 pages of documents. In other words, they unloaded a lot of what they had. Did they give everything? Well, we may never know, but they gave him 1,000 pages of documents, which confirmed the Rockefeller Initiative quite effectively. Though I don't think it's everything that is out there that could eventually be compiled. So it's the year 2000, and Grant Cameron has the confirmation of the Rockefeller Initiative in his hands. He provided a set of these to me. I made a couple of copies, and I provided them to some newspapers, including the Washington Post. And they had no interest in it. No news here. All right, fine. So what happened next was that Grant Cameron, working from these documents, put up substantial narratives in his Clinton section at presidentialufo.com, in which he laid it all out. All well and good. I did something different. At ParadigmResearchGroup.org, I created a Rockefeller Initiative section, which was designed more to give the press a very rapid, quick introduction to the key issue so they can engage it. And that section includes, and still does include, 173 of what I consider the most important documents in that 1,000 pages. And with thumbnails listed chronologically, then you go read the documents from the thumbs and what have you, and you can just follow the whole thing. And over the last 9 years, in numerous press releases that have been sent out from time to time, as well as open letters to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, what have you, this links to these resources at presidentialufo.com and at ParadigmResearchGroup.org were made available to the press, and they still didn't cover it. No news there. All right. Now, what is the news that they're not covering? Well, the news is that a billionaire, Rockefeller, obviously a worldwide known member of the Rockefeller family, tried to get Bill Clinton to be the disclosure president in the early part of his term. And the people that knew about this or actually directly was involved in it, engaged it, or knew about it, were then President Bill Clinton, his wife Hillary Clinton, who went on to run for president and almost became president, but it was now the Secretary of State, considered the second most powerful office in the government of the Obama administration. The key advisor to Clinton, later his chief of staff, who went on to become the chairman of Obama's transition team after the election, which helped select the Obama administration, the Obama staff and what have you, John Podesta. Secretary of Clinton's chief of staff during the Rockefeller Initiative, who's now the Secretary of Defense and was just recently also the director of the CIA, Leon Panetta. The vice president at the time, Al Gore, who's gone on to win a Nobel Prize and is touring the world, trying to convince governments to change their policy regarding major issues. That would be Al Gore, who also ran for president and almost won. And then Congressman, during the Rockefeller Initiative, Bill Richardson, who then went on to become Clinton's Secretary of Energy, was tapped to be Obama's Secretary of Commerce, and was governor of New Mexico, who also ran for president, Bill Richardson. All of these people have never spoken publicly about that initiative or been asked a single question. And these people three of them ran for president. One of them ran and won. The others are holding major positions. And that's not news. Now, let me put that in perspective. In the same time period, well, actually, early in the Clinton administration, just as the Rockefeller Initiative is getting underway. This is back in 1993.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton had a friend, Jean Houston, which is kind of famous for being one of those sort of psychic predictors. And she invited Jean to the White House a couple of times. Probably not a good idea, but she has her friend. She has the right to have lunch with whoever she wants. And what apparently she and Jean were doing was they were doing a little role-playing where Jean, I guess, would play the role of Eleanor Roosevelt, and she would talk with her and kind of talk about what was Eleanor's life like as First Lady and how might Hillary conduct a little role-playing kind of thing. No big deal. But the press got wind of it. Big story. Big story. Worldwide. Went around for weeks and weeks and weeks. Hillary Clinton is channeling Eleanor Roosevelt. That's big news. But a 3-year effort by a billionaire Rockefeller to get the UFO files and get the government back in the investigation of this phenomenon is not news. That is all anyone ever needs to know about the reality of a truth embargo containing this issue, and the press's either willing or implicit or explicit involvement in that. Whether they're given memos every day, you don't cover this, or whether they just understand you don't go there, doesn't matter. That's a truth embargo. So that now is the framing for this.
Okay.
And why this is important. Because, and now we get to the punchline. If this petition receives 25,000 signatures by March the 23rd, the White House is going to have to respond to this. And I think you can see the irony here. It was the Office of Science and Technology Policy that Lawrence Rockefeller engaged. And this was under Clinton. It's the Office of Science and Technology Policy under Obama that just issued a statement, well, on behalf of the Obama administration, that there's no evidence whatsoever of any, or ever has been, of any life outside the planet or of any non-human intelligence engaging human beings, or that the government has, quote, is hiding anything. Right. So the press is paying attention. As I mentioned, the Disclosure Petition 1 got more media coverage than all the other posted petitions combined. As this petition starts to approach 25,000 and they realize that there's going to be a response from the White House, this is news, and I don't think they'll stay out of it. And as it gets close, they're going to look at those links. They're going to go and check those documents out. And when they do, they're going to realize this is not just news. This is corroborated news. Mm-hmm. And they could very well start asking questions of some of these very, very powerful people that believe they can run the government and tell us what to do, but they don't have to tell us what's going on. They can withhold key information because they have because they can, and because we don't have really a right to know this. We don't have a need to know it. And we couldn't handle the information if they told us anyway. This is the reason why the trust in government in the United States right now is it is at the lowest levels in the history of the Republic, with the Congress currently running around 11%. And why things are breaking down. Because when there's no trust in government, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
So now we're getting into some deep, important issues. We're starting to see the larger scope of this. And so that is why this project was created, and we are taking full advantage of this We the People initiative. But in order for it to truly achieve what it's attempting to achieve, we need people to sign the petition. And who would do that? Well, there have been many polls taken of the American people's thinking on this going back many years, but certainly in the last 10 to 15 years, by professional polling operations such as Reuters and Roper and CNN and Time and Ipsos. And we have a pretty good idea where the public is. I mean, they're private views, because obviously these polls are anonymous. You know, what people might say to their colleagues at work is one thing, what they believe privately is another. And what we know is about 50% of American adults believe that this phenomena we're seeing has actually got extraterrestrial backing to it. And that's approximately 150 million Americans. And 80% plus American adults believe that the government is not telling the truth. That would be about 240 million. And these numbers hold up for most of the industrialized world, and by and large are not too far off with respect to the less industrialized world. So we're talking about a couple of billion people around the world that either believe this phenomenon is real or that and their governments are not telling the truth.
Right.
That's who should sign this petition if they're tired of being lied to and they would like to know once and for all whether they're alone in the universe or not. And okay, fine. So, but in order to do that, they have to know that it exists. They have to know this project is underway at We the People. They even have to know that We the People exist. And of course, not that many do, because the White House didn't promote it very heavily. They didn't want to, and they were very concerned. And I understand why, because had they done so, they would have been buried. As it was, they were buried. They were overwhelmed by the number of people signing and the number of petitions. So they low-keyed it out the door, and it's slowly growing in awareness. I understand that. And the job of the petitioners is to do what they can to get this information out and let people know about it. And that's what I'm on the show, and I have 20 more shows this month. I've done 25 in the last 4 weeks. A global press release was sent out through Official Wire on the 23rd. Another one's going to go out tomorrow. Official Wire submits press releases to about 200,000 global media venues. So we're doing what we can. So now the question is, how do you sign this petition? It's real simple. You either go to the whitehouse.gov website, go to We the People, and find it, or you go to disclosurepetition.info, where the direct link to it is there. You go right to the petition directly. Or that link will be up in a lot of places. It's on YouTube videos that are going up now. There's about 20 or so out there already. But whatever, you get to the petition on the White House website. Once you get there and you click on the petition, it's going to ask you if you have an account already, log in with your password. If you don't, you got to create an account with We the People, just like you create an account with dozens of other things on the web. So you click Create Account, and it sends you, and you have to enter your first and last name and your email address. Then you have an option to put in your city and state, city and country, which is fine. They will, by the way, publish your first name and last initial only on the signature. You get an email back. This is standard operating procedure. The email has a verification link. You got to click on that, and it's got a password. Use the password. You log back in, sign all the petitions you want. And there's a profile. You can get the profile down at the bottom, and you can go in your profile, and you can change the password into something easy to remember, like the name of your cat or something. That's it. And you sign a petition. If you've already got an account, you can log in and sign a petition in a few seconds. Does it cost anything? No. So, all of that information, how to sign it and all that, is up at disclosurepetition.info. But there's two other things we want people to do. In addition to signing this thing, we want them to share the direct link to the petition with as many as they can using their social media like Facebook and MySpace and Twitter, and their websites if they have them, their blogs if they have them, email lists. At disclosurepetition.info, there are banners that you can grab to use for a link so that they sign, but they get 10 other people to sign. And then thirdly, if they want to, this is not critical, but if they got a few extra minutes, click on the feedback link at We the People and send a respectful message to the White House that they signed, that they think this issue is very important, and they expect an appropriate and comprehensive response by the administration to the Rockefeller Initiative petition, disclosure petition too. Did all three things like that. That's all they can do, and that would be wonderful. And we would almost certainly get the 25,000 signatures. Right now, the petition is 4 days and 18 hours old, and the number of signatures is 3615, which isn't too bad. So
good.
That's how you sign it.
Last time we. All right, very good. So you got the idea of what's going on. I'm going to play the second part tomorrow because it's another 35 minutes or so. But the most important part is to sign this petition. You know, there's a lot of talk, about UFO disclosure. We want to have this information disclosed and released. Now is the time. Now is the time for all of those who want that to happen. Here's a petition. So the link is available, disclosure petition .info. If you go to firstcontactradio.com, on the left-hand side, you're going to see the link right there. So you can just follow it, and it'll take you right to the page where you can go ahead and sign the petition. All right, so there you go. Next up is our meditation for today. So let me go ahead and bring this up here. Why don't you go ahead and close your eyes, relax. Let me get you set up here. Alright, hold on a second.
Spoke was in December.
Alright, I'd like you to go ahead and close your eyes and relax. Close your eyes and relax. Alright, let's imagine on this Wednesday morning, let's imagine at the beginning of this day that all is well in the world. Let's imagine what life is like when all is going smoothly in your world. Can you imagine that? Sometimes we're so used to things happening that are troublesome or problematic or just bad things that it's hard for us to imagine the good. But the good exists. So just take a moment to look inside of yourself. Go into your heart space and look for the good. Look for the good that is hidden in there. Imagine that you are looking for buried treasure. And as you look around, you find a chest. And you open it. And there, inside that chest, protected from all the bad, is all the good that you want to have happen. So allow that chest to open so the good can flow out. And imagine as the good flows out, it overwhelms the bad and fills the space with goodness. And imagine all of this goodness flowing out from your heart space, filling your entire body. And as it continues to flow outward, notice how you feel. Notice how good you feel, because you're allowing the goodness to flow. And with this goodness comes love and faith and courage and enlightenment and all of those positive qualities you associate with goodness. Imagine all of your chakras are activated, starting with the chakra at the bottom of your spine. The color is red. Raise the energy up to the chakra above it. Imagine the color orange. And then up to the chakra above it, just below the rib cage, imagine the color yellow. Then to the chakra above it at the heart space, imagine the color green. A little bit higher to the throat chakra, imagine the color blue. Right between the two eyebrows, third eye, imagine the color violet. Into the crown chakra, imagine the color indigo, and the light continues on into the cosmos. It's bright white light. Honor your connection to all that is, was, and ever shall be. You're a child of the earth and a child of the cosmos. Let's send love all around the planet right now. to everyone around this planet. I wish everybody a good day, and with that, bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment, filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment, filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment, happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Open your eyes, wake up. It's time to go about your business for the new day. Enjoy your day out there, my friends. Just keep paying attention to what's going on. Go sign the petition. Share the link with others. I'm going to play the second part tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, just go out and have fun today. Enjoy yourself, and I'll be back tomorrow. Peace. I'm out of here.